Hello.
Welcome back to my channel. It is Majestically Maya, and as promised, today we're going to do our panel discussion. We're here today with our good friends Judy and Esper.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you guys for being here today.
Of course.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. And also, if you haven't seen the previous videos where I shared my journey to how I got to this point, please be sure to go and check out those videos. I will definitely be linking them in the description box. But I want to first provide a disclaimer before we begin, because just because we're here and we're able to talk about what we've gone through, it doesn't mean that you yourself are inadequate. It doesn't mean that you're weak or you aren't strong enough, or it doesn't mean anything negative for you, but we are here to share our journey so that we can encourage you to have hope for the future. So thank you for being with us here today. What was your experience with miscarriage?
You want to start?
Do we start from the beginning?
Yeah, take us to the beginning.
Okay.
I think you're a better storyteller, so I want you to start.
Well, there's not a lot of. It wasn't very eventful, I guess. I guess I was about 6 weeks along, and I started noticing like dark spotting. And then I freaked out. I thought I was losing the baby then. So then we went and saw the doctor and got an ultrasound, and we saw the heartbeat. So then we were like super happy about it and thinking like, oh, okay, everything's fine. But then the bleeding kind of continued. And then we went back a week later for a follow-up, and then there was no heartbeat. Yeah.
I think that was the hardest for me, because when I saw the heartbeat, it made it a reality that there's a baby in there. So I was so excited, I was so happy, and I remember we were buying furniture, we were cleaning the house, we were painting the house, because we were nesting. Like, this is it, we're gonna have a baby soon. I was nesting. And so when we went to have her checked, and then the doctor said, oh, we can't see a heartbeat. It was like,
so they sent us from there. She was like, I'm not a trained ultrasound tech. She sent us to another lab. Went in there, and the guy like did the thing, but then he also said like a doctor has to look at it. So then, this is in the Philippines, by the way. So I kind of knew already, and then we had to wait until the next day to go back and get the result.
I was still very hopeful, like, okay, maybe there's a glitch, there's something wrong with the technology, because I'm thinking this is the Philippines, so I don't rely heavily on the technology. I know that's a bad thing to say, but that was just me being hopeful that the baby is still alive. But
Yeah. I guess, John, did you want to share about our experience? I hadn't considered that, because you guys already know and they know, but did you want to add anything?
No.
Okay, moving on. Number 2, how did y'all handle the loss? Was it similarly or differently, or is there a difference? Or
Good question. So looking back, I think for me, I was more vocal. I was willing to talk about it, but just like watching my wife, I think she's more like, I don't want to talk about it. I think the first few years, or maybe even this past year, like I know we have miscarriage, but I don't want to talk about it all the time. But I was more like we can talk about this. That was just that's my perspective anyway. That's how I see it. So
I think I didn't see the necessity in talking about it, because I want to talk out. Like, there's nothing left to say. Like, it happened, and I'm sad. Like, there's nothing else to say, really.
yeah, and also because I'm looking at her. Is she doing this because she's really over it, or maybe this is just her coping mechanism where she doesn't want to talk about it because it's hurting her? So I don't know. That's how I see
I
it.
guess early on, like when it first happened, I would cry a lot. And especially, I think, because we had to wait for the DNC, right? It was like a week.
Yeah.
A week before the DNC, so like that period of just like carrying around my dead baby, I was like, I didn't know what to do with myself. So I would like take showers and just cry in the bathroom.
Yeah, I remember memories when I'm just in the living room and she's in the bathroom just wailing. And as a husband, you sit there and you're praying, Lord, what can I do? I can handle pain tolerance because you do MMA. So we can get cake, punch, joke, and we can handle that. But emotionally, it's harder to deal with this. So
Yeah, because you can't. I think he even said that maybe a few weeks ago, that it's hard to see me being in pain and being upset about the situation because he can't do anything for me. You know, besides like saying a prayer.
Yeah.
Now you've already answered this one. I was gonna ask, did you feel compelled to tell others? But I guess we can still visit that question.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had a problem with telling anybody.
yeah, I mean, not me anyway, because right now working for Bellevue, I work with individuals who have gone through loss, and so talking about our loss kind of helps in other people go through their loss.
Yeah.
And so for me, at least for me, I can speak for you, dear. It's very useful to talk about this because people want hope. And if we don't say anything to them, or if we don't share our stories, then they don't know where to find hope. So I talk to people, I share my experiences, and by doing that, they're encouraged to share their experiences.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And that's why we are here today,
There
to
you
inspire you guys. When you talked with friends and family members about the loss, like how did they react?
Well, I
Good
forgot
question.
to mention earlier, like we both posted about it. So he wrote like a long blog post about the whole experience. And then I think that kind of made me want to write as well. So I wrote something a little bit shorter just to put on Facebook and kind of let people know that this happened.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people responded, and that was encouraging. But that was the extent of it for me. Like for me, once I put that out there, I'm like, okay, that's done. I don't need to talk about it anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
Until years later, and also because we were in the Philippines, like I was very isolated. I didn't have friends, so and then so from there we didn't talk about it until we got here. Really,
Yeah.
it was like two years later, and then we were meeting so many new people. So then it felt like we were telling our story over and over again, and that's when I think I felt like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Like,
You felt like overwhelmed?
yeah, like this is too much. Like, why do we have to keep bringing it up?
Yeah.
But now that we're not constantly meeting new people, like when we do meet people and it comes up, then we'll talk about it. But if not, then it's great.
And what was the original question?
The original question was, how did others react when you told them?
So mostly they say sorry. I'm sorry for your loss, and I think we can tell that they care for us, most people. But there are also individuals who they mean well, but they don't really know how to approach us. And we understand that they don't know how to approach us, and that's why they may say something that's kind of a little bit hurtful. But we don't hate them for that because they don't know. Yeah.
We did have a bunch of people to respond, like on the posts about, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We went through this too," and then that was like, "Ooh."
That's what gets me. The fact that people are so silent and they suffer silently. And then when you share, they whisper. I've had people that inbox me and they're like, yeah, me too. And it's like, I'm so sorry. They would have this in common. I would have never known, And then I have other people like, I'm not going to say who it is, but I had a person tell me that miscarriage is normal and that I should be okay with being around kids and babies during the time period when it was too fresh for me to feel strong enough to do so. And I just felt like that was a spit in the face or something. Like, wow, like it's a thing that happens, that's very inconsiderate and insensitive. So that's how I felt.
And there are people who made comments like, "Oh God, we believe that God will give you a child," and again, they mean well, but do we really know that God's gonna give us another child? When we can be negative about it, and they'll say stuff like, "Oh, your child is happy now. I mean, that's good, but
it's not what you want. You want them happy with you, not happy in heaven."
Which is good. I mean, if they're with Jesus, wonderful. But right now, you're being selfish at the moment. Like, I don't want to hear that. I want to be with my child right now.
Well, I think that has been a source of comfort for me.
Good.
I've had a lot of conversations with like coworkers
been through this as well. And then we just talk about our babies in heaven and how they're probably friends. And
Oh, so that's cute.
and then
Our
like,
babies are probably
yeah,
friends.
probably. And then that
They're
makes me
like
happy.
this.
Yeah. And then they're like, you know, we were reading a book at work about heaven. And so how they were talking about, this is just a theory, right? We don't know for sure, the Bible doesn't really explicitly say it, but there's a possibility that we will meet our children in heaven either as grown-ups or as babies. Like there's one theory where we would actually get the chance to raise our babies in heaven, which would be like amazing. Like, yeah, that'd be And yeah, so just conversations like that, like those are nice. Like it just makes me
Wait, you get to raise your baby in heaven?
Yeah, like,
I heard a
wouldn't that be
different.
so
I
sweet?
heard a different approach. Someone told me that maybe when you get to heaven, someone's just gonna approach you and they'll say, "Hey, Dad."
Oh,
And
I know,
that really
that's so
touched me,
good.
like,
Yeah.
oh, someone's gonna call me Dad when I'm up there.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's nice. Those are the lighthearted things. Does that give you any kind of emotional reaction?
No.
Okay, he's camera shy, you guys. We saw this in the other video. If you didn't see the miscarriage, the initial video, when I was going through it, we were going through it. We handled it differently. I can talk to the camera. I'm very communicative. He is really heavy on the interpersonal dialogue, which is internal, keeping it inside. We're moving on. I've said before, and we talked about this, I wasn't aware of the sense of loss. Remember, we talked about this, how before being pregnant, I didn't understand the significance of people talking about rainbow babies. And for me, I felt like I knew it was a big deal, but I didn't understand the emotional toll that it took. So can you describe the sense of loss that y'all felt?
I think for me, it helped to make me a lot more empathetic to not just people who have lost babies, but just people who have encountered loss in general. So like, because I've never gone through like a big death in my family. I've had grandparents who passed away, but I wasn't really close to them. So this was like the closest death that I ever had. And yeah, I guess it made me a lot more soft.
I feel like I was very hard-hearted before. Like, you know, people would be going through a loss, and I would just feel like, oh, I'm sorry for you.
But you can't connect. You
Yeah.
didn't feel like you
But
could.
now it's like somebody loses a loved one, and I'm just like crying, and it
Yeah.
changed something, I think, internally.
Which is not a bad thing.
No, it's a good thing. I can say the same thing. Like, so now with with the loss, now I help in the grief share, and so that's not just miscarriage. It's all kinds of loss. Now I can, in a way, I can identify with their pain, and I can sympathize with them, empathize with them, and really helps me to connect with people in a deeper sense.
Since our loss is more recent, could you share with the viewers how your feelings have changed over the course of the years? Or has there been a change? I guess I'm assuming there has been. Does it still feel like it happened yesterday sometimes? And do you have other times where you feel more, I guess, at peace? Like you've accepted the loss?
I would say, feeling the loss, it's still there, but the pain, quote unquote, it's not there as much. So initially, the pain was there. It's like it's throbbing. We can feel it. But after how many years now, we don't necessarily feel the pain, but we remember the pain.
Yeah.
So when we hear about, we were there when it happened.
I know, you guys, we were at their house when the
Yeah.
miscarriage started.
And you
Sorry
remember
about
my
that.
reaction.
I know.
And you're like, Junie, we don't have the time to do this. Let's go.
Yeah, he was freaking out a little bit, and I have to snap him back to reality because in that moment, you don't have time to panic. I can't just like bleed out and drop dead or something.
Right.
So
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm so I apologize. Like I was so weak at that time. I was just panicking. Like,
it's
oh
okay.
no.
And that's why God put us together so we can give that support, right?
Yeah.
Y'all were there to support us. I remember we put the contents in a container. You totally handled that with me. You didn't complain. Like we didn't even think about it. I know it got him a little bit, it got to them, but we were all in there in that situation together. So I do appreciate that support from y'all. Even after being emotional, you recovered. You did. Okay, and you stayed strong.
Yeah. I think while we were at the hospital, we went out and got food, and like he cried while we were in the car.
I didn't know that.
No, it's okay. It's strange because like I barely even think about it anymore. But when it does come up, then like I don't think I feel pain. It's more of just like being emotional, if that makes sense. So it's like it's not that gut wrenching thing that I used to have. Now it's just like, oh yeah, if I hear certain things, it makes me cry. Or when we were in the Philippines, it went by very quickly because like we just moved on. So I think there was a period where he was like, you need to grieve this, and I was like, I think I'm done grieving this. But for whatever reason, actually going through it with you guys helped me emotionally a lot.
To say,
No, I just had a similar moment. I'll tell you in a second.
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just going through that with you.
Kind of put mine to rest.
Does that make sense? Because then my focus was on you.
I had a similar situation. You know, I cracked my tooth a few weeks ago. I think like 2 weeks ago or whatever. When I got there was a 19-year-old who had a similar situation. Since I'm not identifying her, I can tell the details. She said something about she thought that maybe her liver or something was failing or whatever. She had some abdominal pain, and it turned out that she had cysts, multiple cysts. She lost her ovary, one of her ovaries in tubes. And so we were, I hate to say it, like, it's not like trauma bonding, guys. But we were relating to what we went through. And she has the same scar. And for me, I think if I can articulate how I felt, I think it's something like what you went through. When you go through a loss like this, you feel like, for me, I felt like God had forsaken me. I felt like, I mean, that's a little extreme, so maybe you didn't feel that way. But I just felt like, why me? I was focused on myself. So to see that it's not just personal, that it's something that just happened, and that here she is at her age, at 19, down to 50% chance of fertility, right? When we're sitting here, and we just lost a child. So it's like, oh my gosh, like, she didn't lose a child. She lost a ton of children. Or at least the eggs, right? So that put it in perspective for me that I'm not suffering as much as I feel like I am. Like I am, but it made it less about me. I forgot to tell you that, but I didn't because of the video, just in case. I figured that would come up.
Yeah.
And even at church, like you guys have seen me like in the worship songs, like crying because I'm like, I mean, I know that he can. Will he? He can. Maybe he, like, I don't know, right? Like, I've been dealing with that. So, yeah, that was, I understand. Do you have triggers that take you back to that time in your lives or remind you of your child? Any triggers, like maybe seeing children or hearing voices, or maybe, well, I guess I don't need to plant the seed. Just answer the question, sorry.
So because our pregnancy or your pregnancy was not that long.
It was very short.
It was very short. We don't really have a lot of memories except for the fact that we saw the heartbeat. And so I guess the trigger would be when we see a sonogram. You know, when people post up online, it's like, oh, we had one before.
We had one.
Yeah, and so trigger, whether that be sadness, you know, pain.
Yeah,
It's a
I think
combination
for a while, just hearing that friends were getting pregnant was really hard. But I think also because for us, it's been like miscarriage followed by not sure if we have infertility issues has made it more different. Like I know of a lot of people who've had miscarriages and then went on to have children, and then it's not like they forgot that baby, but I think it makes it a lot easier. And there's a part of us that, like me mentally, I want to tell myself, like I can't bank it on having another kid. Like if I just have another kid, I'll be fine. Like I don't want to put myself in that kind of headspace. So yeah, I guess like now when we see things happen, when we see babies and children and all that, I think it's just more of not so much of feeling the loss as it is just feeling like wanting to have children. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a different kind of loss.
But you know what helps me? When I connect myself to a place where I can see a baby and hold a baby, for some reason, the pain is not as bad. Because I don't know why, I'm connecting with that child.
So with the baby comes healing. So even though it's not your baby, you just hold the
For
baby.
some reason, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's what's happening. So like, for example, I'm holding a child. I'm not thinking so much about my baby. I'm thinking about this baby here in front of me.
He's so cute.
And I'm like, he's so cute. His eyes are so cute. So like, there's healing to that, like touching someone else's baby. Now, is it gonna be the same for you or for someone else? Probably not, but it might be someday. We don't know yet.
Touching babies brings healing.
So how did you feel? Okay, so we can talk about this. So John, I guess I've noticed that when our nieces come to town, you've been holding the youngest more often. Do you think that it has something to do with the loss and you relate to Junie on that? Or
Yeah, I like holding babies now.
because he didn't used to hold babies before.
Oh.
Yeah, so each time you see me with a little baby.
And he wants pictures now too. It's like, take a photo, look at us. And it's like, that's cute. It's
Oh
like,
gosh, yes.
Look
He's
at
like,
I do the same
he
thing.
wants so many photos.
yeah.
Take a picture of me.
Well, because I know that if I can't generate the likes on Facebook, a baby will.
Boo! No, that's not true. You didn't even post it.
It's very strategic.
That is not. We have so many. We have
Hey,
photos.
look at my beautiful knees. Like this photo, even if it's an ugly baby.
Oh no, she's beautiful.
That's a different
She's
world
beautiful.
right there.
No, she's beautiful. Okay, Esper and I recently were talking about Mother's Day.
Oh.
Okay, do you want to share your sentiments, or do because I can talk about it?
I can.
You both can talk about it.
It's one or the other.
That's
Yeah.
a question. That's the next question. That's the next question.
Okay, so
Mother's Day, people will say Happy Mother's Day, you're a mother too, whether they're referring to me being a mother for 6 weeks or just being a mother figure to other children or younger girls. And I appreciate the sentiment, but I don't like hearing it. Like,
it hurts. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like go along with it for their sake. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I wince when I hear those words. So the day that I went to your house and the lady was just like, Happy Mother's Day to y'all. And I was like, no, we both post babies. Like, no, we had just had, no, that's what initiated that conversation later on when we were driving in the car later. But yeah, my dad, and he's like, Happy Mother's Day. And I was like, maybe next year. And he's like, the Lord will, I mean, he said a lot of things, and I didn't respond. I could not respond to him because I was just like annoyed by that. So yeah, I don't like that. Although I don't know if you guys remember back when I was still like my body was still recovering from like the pregnancy and like all of that, and one of the things that bothered me was still looking pregnant. So the other day I did have a little tiny solace of like
What happened?
comfort. Mother's Day, this guy was hitting on me in the store. I told you about that, but I didn't tell you the next thing he said. So he's like, yeah, can I call you? I was like, I have a husband. No, thank you. Like, no. But he was like,
Well,
yeah.
she really said this. I have a husband. His only passion is hurting people. And they've been wondering if he's sane. And he has a problem with stalking. And
The issue with that is that when people start to compliment me, my husband starts to stalk them.
Oh my
And
goodness.
we all think he's sane.
Do you want this on the video?
No. We all think he's sane most days, but we still question a lot of days.
That's
And we're on
Okay,
the
for
fence
those
about
who
it.
don't know, he's an MMA fighter, and he's a jokester. Like,
here we go.
But yeah, if you want his number here.
Right?
okay, so
And then
no.
good luck.
Thing that he said, though, the thing that he said, because I had a long shirt, but it was like a long crop top. So I had like maybe a tenth of an inch, a sliver of skin showing in a high waisted skirt. And he was like, and you don't look like you had any kids. And I was like, my body has recovered. Okay, because that was the thing that was really bothering me, that I felt like.
But where I thought this was going was
She got her belly button ring back in.
Oh, you do? You have a but
This is not for the video. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, my belly button ring is back in because my body has returned to normal silence.
We wanted him to talk.
That is true.
Yeah, there you go. You can't complain, Shamaya.
No, but I want to finish
I'll
this
sit on the
thought.
couch and watch.
So the thing is, for me, we know that when you get pregnant, it's a sacrifice. You know that you're going to sacrifice how your body was pre-baby and post-baby, even if you can snap. Oh, snap. I think we just ran out of time.
I did.
Oh yeah, I can see there's some words on the screen.
I'm the only one who really drank.
I did too.
You know
Look,
what? I'm going to...
There's less water in my
I
cup.
always have nothing.
Then just
Yeah, I
put-
want some
I don't want to
water.
hear from any of y'all. There's nothing in
Oh,
my cup.
hey, you make it.
Well, you didn't have water. You had to drink. So we had an issue with the equipment, but
We're back.
We're back.
We
We're
were in
live.
sync.
Yeah, we're here. All right, Shemai, as you were saying.
Okay, so I was talking about Mother's Day and how we were talking about how we don't like to be told Happy Mother's Day because it's just a reminder that,
We're
I mean,
not a mom.
yeah, you're not really a mother.
What were
If
you
you
at on your story?
if you consider yourself a mother after your miscarriage, that's fine. It's a personal decision, but I don't consider myself a mom. I have a dog, I'm dog mom, but she feels the same way. So one thing that I appreciated from that guy that was trying to hit on me at the store was the fact that he said, you don't look like you've had kids. Like, I don't have kids. We don't have kids. Let's get together. And I was like, I have a husband. But I was like, yeah, I'm back. I don't look like I've had kids. Because when you're pregnant, you understand that it is a sacrifice. Your body will never be the same, even if you can quote unquote snap back, right? Your snapback is a snapback after pregnancy. It's never going to be your pre-pregnancy body. And so for me, one of the things that whenever I thought about it, it kind of infuriated me. It was kind of sad. More so, it was sad and disappointing rather than just anger, a sense of anger. But I just felt like it wasn't fair for me to physically have the full changes if I was completely pregnant as if I had a child and I didn't. So, I mean, I still have that scar as if I've had a C-section, but I'd be doggone if my stomach would have still been the way that it was. So thankfully it's not like that anymore. So I feel a sense of comfort, and that I really just, put a cherry on top of a day that was bittersweet.
Okay, wonderful.
Now, you guys, how do y'all feel about Father's Day? Do you accept the title as a father, or is it too painful?
Did you want
I accept the title.
Okay, so tell us why. Why do you accept the title?
I'm actually curious. Yeah, I actually wanna know why you accept that title.
Well, the baby was alive in the womb. Creation begins in the womb. Now, did I get to see the physical death of the baby? No. So I didn't get to see the physical death. Did God spare me from seeing the physical death? I do believe so. I believe that somewhere in creation, something didn't align. So the baby never breathed air as we breathe air. So I believe that God took the baby from the womb, how safe and secure that place is, to a heaven that is safe and secure. So did I help create a soul for God? I would say the answer is yes, because I believe the soul, and even when you read back in John, when he was in the womb, the soul was created in the womb. So I do believe that I'm a father. Now, to a physical thing,
Yeah.
or a physical being on earth, no. But to someone in the heavenly realm, which we don't understand.
That's wonderful,
Yes.
John.
So, and so are you. And y'all are both mothers too. To that,
I think
because
you painted it really well.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never really
So,
thought about
so I am.
Daddy.
So I am.
That's wonderful. Now, I can't say that I feel like a dad, although I'm a dad to so many kids, like my nieces and nephews. They call me Papa June.
Papa June.
Yeah, but it's more of like the responsibility. They look up to me as their second dad, apart from my brother, apart from my sisters. So, but as for like really my child, no, I don't feel that way. Because I mean, I don't have a child of my own right now, at least. So, but I like the way you explain it. Like,
Yeah,
it's such a wonderful way to explain what
Yeah.
fatherhood is.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. But I mean, I guess I'm in between both of y'all. Then, like, yes, my child is gone, and I do. That's why I've done all of these videos because my child existed, and I feel that strong sense of certainty that that was a real thing. And it's not just like a chemical process or something. Like, we still have the video of the heartbeat, like you guys were talking about. That was a pivotal moment. I was preparing like the nursery and like all of that, and we were just preparing. So yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Good question.
Thanks.
I don't know if that's a good or scary
Because I wrote these questions
It's a hungry.
a while ago. Remember that day that we talked about it and I wrote the questions? I have not looked at them. I didn't want to anticipate it. So it's a surprise when I open the book. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, yeah. Okay, so our daughter had a name.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Madeline.
that really is a ooh thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
right?
so
Jay made a design.
was it two separate designs?
Mhm.
Yeah, two separate designs for when we were gonna announce it for like a boy's name and a girl's name. And I guess it's somewhere in a hard drive now.
I don't know if I try to look it up, it might bring some emotion, so I'm probably not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Because I spend time like, you know how we will share with our friends like we're gonna have a kid and this kid's name is gonna be this or that. So I was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna design
He
something
had like
really
the
nice.
name and then like coming
June,
June 2020.
Yeah, I could see if somebody said
Fun.
Madeline, and I hear like somebody talking to
Right.
me, like saying the baby's name. That would hit pretty hard,
Yeah.
heavy. I haven't had that happen yet,
Yeah.
because it's not a common name.
Yeah. And yeah, so with
I
the
guess
name,
Conrad and Hadassah.
the name was Hadassah and Conrad. Yeah, so if it's
For
a guy,
boy or
Conrad. If it's a girl, Hadassah. But,
Well, the next part, I didn't actually finish what I was gonna say. You
Oh.
guys,
okay.
hey, we were emotional about that though.
So the
But you,
question's already out of the way. What's the next one?
the next part is, so my mom was telling me that we can't reuse the name. I hadn't even considered it. I was literally still resting in between surgeries,
Mm.
and I hadn't thought about it either way. But the children actually existed. Is that, I don't know. I mean, we won't be reusing the name, right? Like, I feel like I can't, but I hadn't considered it before. So how do you feel about that?
I don't think I could.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna use the same. Actually, we've come up with 2 other names.
yeah.
Don't
already.
tell us.
We're not
Don't
gonna tell anyone.
In case anybody's wondering, I know what they are. It's John and Shemaiah.
Biblical names, okay.
Exactly.
But we actually have names now. If it's a girl, we have a name for that. If it's a boy, we have it prepared. Yeah. Just a matter of time. We're praying, Lord.
Yeah. But yeah, we can't. Those are for that baby.
It's almost like
So I guess we have 2 names for one baby because we didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love your questions.
Thank
I
you.
like the fact that you prepared
Thank
your
you.
questions.
We're almost done.
Okay. Woo. Ooh. Okay. So there was a time period when I struggled leaving home, and you guys knew because y'all kept coming over and visiting us, and we appreciate that. So my issue was when I left the house, I felt like a fraud because people knew I was pregnant. I knew I was pregnant. I loved every day going out in public and being pregnant, coming home and walking through the door and I'm pregnant and just everything, like I'm showering, like that was just it. Like my sense of existence was completely altered and I was happy, right? So, but after the loss,
I did that to her.
that is true. I appreciate that. We're going to do it again. We're going to try. Woo. Okay. But I felt triggered. So during this time period, I'm feeling like, or I was feeling like a fraud, right? Whether or not I still had the baby in there after the loss,
Because you still look pregnant.
yeah, I mean, because I feel like even with the timeline, I'm better now.
okay.
But during the time where I was supposed to still be pregnant, even with our neighbors, they knew that I was supposedly pregnant. We put up the fence and, there was a whole thing about that. But the point is, walking outside, I felt like I didn't want to be seen because now, was she ever really pregnant? You know, I felt like a fraud. And so for me, it was a sore spot for me to see women that were pregnant, especially during that time period when I was supposed to be. And sometimes I do struggle with it. Now it's not as painful, but it's just a reminder because, again, my original due date was June. So, yeah. How did y'all feel? And, you know, or I guess particularly you, Esper, and how long did it take you to overcome the emotion behind your loss? And if you felt if you felt emotional seeing pregnant women or babies or something?
I think all the way up until recently, it still bothered me, like to see pregnant people. But as far as like feeling pregnant, I never felt pregnant. I never had symptoms. My only symptom was having to pee a lot and being hungry all the time. Like those were the only two. So like I can kind of relate a little bit with the whole like feeling like the fraud thing about the time when it was his dad's birthday. And like I honestly don't even know if the baby was still alive at this point. But my mother-in-law, because there were so many guests, my mother-in-law was going around telling everybody she was first because she's pregnant. And like they like forced me to go first and get the food first, and then I went and like, in the room afterward. But then after that, like I wasn't, right? So again, I think because we didn't have a lot of friends, then I got over it pretty quickly because I didn't have to explain anything to anybody, except for probably all of those people at the party. Like, well, I guess she's not pregnant. But yeah, I don't know if I answered the question.
You definitely answered.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I guess you guys aren't in on that one. So I'm trying to see the questions ahead. Ooh, okay. Do you commemorate your child in any way? Or do you find yourself mentally thinking about how they would have been or daydreaming about anything pertaining to the child? Or is it
Still kind of too painful?
I think the only time that I would remember about, you know, the baby is when I have conversations with people who have gone through loss. And that's when the time I would start to think, okay, if that baby were here, you know, would we do this and that? But other than that, like on a normal day, I wouldn't think of the baby. Yeah. It's the environment where I'm in, because again, I'm around individuals who I help with grief share, so I facilitate that group. And so I'm constantly talking to individuals who have gone through loss. So whether it be a baby or a dad or mom, friend, there's that sense of loss, sense of grief. So I think about it often.
Yeah. I think I start to feel it around October, November a little bit because that's when it happened. So I kind of like sense it and then shove it and not dwell on it. And then like every once in a while, like you said, the due date was around a certain time. I think it was early June, right? Was our due date. So
sorry guys.
that's okay. I guess it's like coming up. But yeah, every once in a while I'll be like, baby would be like 3 years old. Like that's crazy. But then I just kind of nip it in the bud. I don't let myself go there.
What about you?
No comment.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, I have my moments of thinking like, oh, like we would be holding a baby or, you know, but
We had a kind of a cute moment when we went to the church, the kids program. Except for when we almost got outed for not having kids right there, like wave to your parents. I thought they were going to tell them to go into the crowd and give them a hug because I was like, oh no, we're not here with them. Like, we're just enjoying the show. But they were so cute.
Funny enough that you brought that up.
He cried.
I cried.
When?
See, it's been a while
During
since I
the
felt.
show.
I didn't know when. I thought we were like,
No.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
I'm so attitude.
this is why, you know, I would say like grief in so many ways.
Yeah,
It's kind of it's very strange
catches
because
you off
most of the time I'm fine. Like I don't feel emotional. Like around individuals who have gone through loss, I'm perfectly fine. But there are moments where I'm looking at those kids singing. Suddenly I'm like, that could have been my kid up there. So I cried, but I was like, no, get over yourself. Like, that's
you
really
played it off well because we all looked at each other in the eyes and we were like, oh, they're so cute. Like I didn't see a sense of sadness. Like what the heck?
I was like,
It was a moment.
yeah, it was a moment, and I just told
and then
her,
it passed.
just don't tell her. Like, Yeah.
It's okay. Like, y'all can be open. Yeah, for me, I felt like, dang, like that we don't have one up there, but someday we will, and they can be in that they can be in that program, and it just gave me hope for the future, because right now, like, our kid wouldn't have been old enough anyway, so I understand that y'all's kid would have been old enough to be up there. Okay, this is the final question. Is there something that you guys wanted to share that we did not discuss?
I think just moving forward. I think that discussion, like, so moving forward with our laws, how are we gonna use that laws? Especially because 4 of us here were believers.
Mm-hmm.
How are we gonna use that story to glorify God?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this many times. Our loss can lead someone to Christ.
Mm.
Because we have hope.
Yeah.
Tomorrow when we wake up, we have hope, and Christ is our hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, it's just moving forward, like you said. I keep losing my train of thought.
It's okay. I mean, this is not a natural thing that we're doing. We talk all the time when we don't
We
sit.
do this
Yeah.
one day.
But it's just about, so like when it happened and not understanding why. I think it was a big question of why. Like, why did I have to go through this? If I wasn't supposed to have a kid, why did I even have to get pregnant?
We talked about
I could've
like,
just
why
not
let me
gotten
go through
pregnant.
that?
Yeah.
What? Just don't give it to me. Like,
Right. But now, 3, almost 4 years down the road, like I can see all the whys popping up. Like I can tell why it happened. We wouldn't be here if we had a kid. Like if that kid had been born, we would probably still have been in the Philippines. We never would have left.
And one of the most beautiful thing that came out of our loss is having that friendship with you guys.
we had friendship before. Oh, but
Yeah,
never
but
mind.
it's different
Y'all
now.
wouldn't have been
So
here.
different.
Yeah.
And like just coming here and having experience this past year, like it was just God showing us again and again, I love you, I love you, I love you. Here's this person, like, and just people pouring into us, and you guys have been so pivotal in that. So like, yeah.
Well, we love y'all. So, but y'all already know that. Like we say this all the time, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But so that is
Juniper.
no question. Like we know why.
Yeah.
Yeah. As
Yeah.
sad as it is, it's
It wasn't
okay.
for nothing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But thank you, Shamaya.
Thank
You
y'all
did
for
a wonderful
being
job.
Yeah.
And thank you,
Thank
John.
I
Thank
guess,
you.
yeah, no problem.
You contributed
You did
this
wonderful,
time. You
John.
did better than last time. He spoke more than last time, so I appreciate that. Thank you guys for watching this video. And if you are curious to know about our journey with miscarriage, or particularly my journey, because I've documented it, you can start from the first video. It's a little bit emotional, so if you are empathetic, you may want to skip to the second and third video on how I recovered and got to this point where I can have this discussion with our friends. But just thank you for your support, and we hope that we said some things that encouraged you, that encourage you to keep pushing forward and to know that everything will be okay. You'll be okay. You'll feel better. And that's it. Thank you. Bye-bye.